I never imagined that a single decision could ripple through my life and change everything I thought I knew about myself, about my marriage, about right and wrong. But it happened. And it all started with the night we hired a babysitter. My wife, Claire, and I had been married for 11 years. We had 2 kids, Emma, 9, and Jack, 6. Life had settled into that steady rhythm marriages often do, where days blur with school runs, work, bills, and the unending chores that keep a household together. Claire was wonderful, no doubt about that. Organized, loving, fiercely devoted to our children. But somewhere along the way, between the chaos of parenthood and the routine of responsibility, the fire between us had cooled. We weren't unhappy, not exactly. But I often found myself lying awake at night, staring at the ceiling, wondering if passion was something reserved only for the early days of love. Claire was usually too tired for intimacy, and though we still shared occasional tender moments, they felt more like obligations than desires. I didn't resent her for it. I knew she was exhausted, but I couldn't help the longing that gnawed at me, the hunger for something reckless, something forbidden. It was Claire's idea to hire a babysitter. She said we needed a night out, time together without the kids clinging to us. We used to go out all the time, she reminded me one afternoon as she folded laundry. We need that again. Just a night, dinner, maybe a movie. It'll be good for us. When she told me she had already arranged for someone, I didn't think much of it. Just a high school senior from down the street, she explained, a girl who had babysat for our neighbors before. Her name was Lily. The night she arrived, I remember opening the door and being caught off guard. She wasn't the gawky, awkward teenager I'd half expected. Lily was 19, maybe 20, with long auburn hair that caught the light like fire and green eyes that seemed too sharp, too knowing for someone her age. She smiled shyly when I introduced myself, clutching her bag strap, but there was something in her posture, confident, almost bold, that made my chest tighten. Claire showed her around, gave the usual instructions, bedtimes, snacks, emergency numbers. I tried not to stare, but I noticed the way Lily's jeans hugged her slender frame, the way she twirled her hair around her finger when she listened. She was beautiful in that fresh, unpolished way that made me suddenly aware of my own age, of the years etched into my face, the weight of adulthood pressing on my shoulders. Dinner with Claire that night should have been perfect, but I couldn't shake the image of Lily sitting on our couch, laughing with the kids. It was wrong, I knew it, but my mind betrayed me with flashes of her smile, the curve of her lips. I hated myself for it, hated that I was already wandering in thought when Claire sat across from me in that little Italian restaurant, trying to rekindle something we'd lost. When we came home, Lily was curled up on the couch, flipping through her phone. The kids were asleep. Claire paid her, thanked her, and walked her to the door. I stood in the kitchen, pouring myself a glass of water, when Lily glanced back over her shoulder. Our eyes met for just a second. She smiled, small and fleeting, but it sent a current through me I couldn't ignore. That should have been it. Just a smile, nothing more. But the human heart has a dangerous way of holding on to sparks, even the ones that should be snuffed out. Over the next few weeks, Lily came by more often. Claire liked having her around. She said Lily was responsible, great with the kids, and she gave us time to reconnect. But the truth was, I found myself looking forward to her visits in ways I couldn't admit. The sound of her laughter in the living room, the soft floral scent that lingered after she left, it all worked its way under my skin. One night, after we returned from a friend's party, I found her sitting cross-legged on the floor with Emma and Jack, playing a board game. She looked up at me, grinning, and for the briefest moment it felt like she wasn't smiling at the kids, but at me. My chest tightened again. That was the night Claire kissed me goodnight and rolled over, falling asleep almost instantly. I lay awake, restless, thinking about Lily's smile. I hated myself for it, but the thought of her made my pulse race in a way Claire hadn't in years. And then, one night when Claire had to work late at the hospital and asked Lily to watch the kids so I could run errands, the line between right and wrong blurred beyond repair. When I came home, the house was quiet. The kids were in bed, and Lily was sitting on the couch, scrolling through her phone again. She looked up as I walked in, her lips curving into that same small smile that had haunted me for weeks. "You're back early," she said softly. "Yeah," I replied, my voice lower than I intended. Things didn't take as long as I thought. There was silence between us, thick and charged. I should have gone upstairs, checked on the kids, called Claire. But instead, I sat down on the armchair across from her. We talked about nothing really. School, her plans for college, movies she liked. But beneath the words, something else hummed, something unspoken. Every time her eyes met mine, I felt it. Every time she tucked a strand of hair behind her ear, I noticed the curve of her neck. At one point, she laughed at something I said, and the sound was like a spark in a dry forest. She leaned back, her legs tucked under her, and for a moment, the way she looked at me was anything but innocent. I don't know who moved first. Maybe it was her. Maybe it was me. But suddenly I was leaning forward, and she wasn't pulling away. Our lips met, tentative at first, then hungrier, more desperate. The taste of her was intoxicating, a rush of youth and danger, and everything I'd been denying myself. When we pulled apart, breathless, reality crashed back. "We shouldn't," I whispered, though my hands were still on her shoulders, my body still aching for more. "I know," she whispered back, her eyes wide, searching mine. "But I don't want to stop." And neither did I.